The City of Soundsville is the name of this podcast, and as always, I am your host, Shadowstreak, joined by my co-host,
RGF, and I'm mad.
Why do you wait longer and longer every time?
So people
It's
would
like
at
every
home would.
episode there's a longer gap.
There should be a drum roll from the people listening. That's what I assume they
currently
do
my
all the
water
time.
heater's going off, so I can use the water heater noise, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
No,
assuming it's
they'll do whatever they need to do because obviously, when my name is said, there should be a drum roll.
Oh, of course.
That's how it works.
Well, why don't we just catch our viewers up or listeners up to speed really quick and pick up this conversation that we were having right before we started. So RJ and I were basically, we got on a tangent about how Craig and Lauren have made a ton of money, not necessarily for themselves, but for the corporations.
I don't know about themselves, but
for the corporations that they worked for. That being said, we were kind of going back and forth about, how much money has Powerpuff Girls made versus how much has Friendship is Magic made. Now,
My Little Pony, by the
RJ
way.
has made his point. RJ has made his side very clear, and I'm on the opposite side of him, which is always interesting because I like it when he and I take different sides. It proves that we aren't one hive mind on every single thing. But RJ is making the claim that Powerpuff Girls probably has made more money than Friendship.
But I didn't
is
say
Magic,
that. I said
and
they're
I'm
about
on-
the same, but Powerpuff probably edges it slightly. Not like,
So like I said, Powerpuff has made more money than Friendship is Magic.
Okay, fine. Okay. Fine.
And I'm saying the opposite. So the sources, I was asking RJ for some sources because I actually, not even to like prove one side or the other, I just find this conversation very interesting. I found a source from businessstandard.com, and this was on June 18th, 2014, which was back when they announced they were going to make a reboot in 2016.
Yeah.
And they have a line in here. I don't see a source cited, though.
Which
means this
one did you
person's a
click
bad
on?
writer. Businessstandard.com.
Businessstandard.com.
Business
I don't see that. There's several.
See,
there were several sources that
but
have
the
that.
point I'm getting at here, though, I'm gonna look at other articles while we're talking about this.
They're on press releases.
This article does not cite a source, which means they're a bad article writer and they should be ashamed of themselves. So
Sure.
let's go find another one. Does this one have
PR
source?
Newswire said it. That I don't think they'd. I don't think they'd lie there.
Because projectcasting.com said it, but like,
Okay.
where's
you know
the
what?
source?
I got you.
Because I just want a source. I'm not doubting it. It's just anyone can put a number in an article. I want to see a source.
Oh, you really.
that
I got you.
yes.
Son.
How dare I have educational?
No.
standards.
If that's all right. I mean, that's completely fine. I'm very fine with that, as you can see.
I can't see you. We're on an audio only medium.
But I could see through it. I could see through that. Okay.
Yeah, this was
I got
November
you.
15th, 2018.
Okay. Let's see what else.
But there's no source.
Time Incorporated.
Damn, I can't believe we've literally managed to capitalize Time. Or Time
Yes.
as a corporation now.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
USA Today and Deadline.com both are also saying this number, but is there a source?
A source for freaking Deadline? I mean, okay, Deadline could lie. You're right.
That's a nice argument, Senator. Why don't you try backing it up with a source? My source is I made it the fuck up.
There's no original
That's basically
source
what
on
I'm
this
getting
because
at.
it's old information, but
But there should have been a source when it was written regardless. That's what I'm saying.
I can't really find that at the moment, though.
I know, but that's my point. Is it's bad. It's like where did this number come from? Like, where did it come from? Where did it go? Where did it come from?
Cotton Eye Joe. Well, I mean, I when you bring the Cotton Eye Joe
Right,
into
yeah,
it, I
let me
understand
read
what
this
you're
Time
saying, but
Let me see. See, it's like there's no source.
the
There's no
famous
source.
liar
It's
Time
literally-
magazine.
There's no source.
Okay, so let's do it this way. What has Gen 4 in particular? We're talking about Gen 4. We're not talking about My Little Pony as a franchise. We're talking about
Yeah, I'm
Gen
talking about
4.
Friendship is Magic.
Gen 4.
Friendship
I
is
think it's Gen
magic.
4, right? I'm not an expert.
Gen
Even though I
4
sound like an
is
expert
Friendship is
because I
Magic.
know it's Gen
yes.
4.
Gen 4. Friendship is Magic. Do I need to say it a fifth time? Let me know.
Say it a fifth time.
Friendship is Magic. It is Gen 4 of MLP.
Okay. Now I get it.
Okay. All right. I'm glad we cleared that up.
Yeah, okay. So show me
All right.
show me where you see the number for.
Yes, I will. So let me see. I'll give you a source in a second here. All right. So, let's see. According to Friendship is Magic, and I'll give you the exact sources here in a second. Friendship is Magic grossed over $650 million in retail sales in 2013 and over $1 billion in 2014 and 16 respectively. So between those those 3 years by themselves, I'll give you the sources in a second. Those 3 years by themselves already larger than that figure that was reported in 2014. Now, granted, there's been another decade of time for things to sell, but I would also still wager that MLP Friendship is Magic has sold way more than Powerpuff has in that decade since 2014, especially because Friendship is Magic was still running for another 5 years after that point.
Yeah, but way more. I wouldn't go too far with that. Well, let's not be glib about this stuff, Shadow Streak.
So the sources that I have a direct annual report from Hasbro themselves. You can't beat that.
Ooh, I'm annual.
Literally a report directly from themselves in 2014 of
Everybody,
their
look at me.
Earnings. Then I have Hasbro's investor update at Toy Fair link, where they were at the Toy Fair, I guess it's a convention or something, which reported their figures in 2015 for 2014. Granted, the article that I have linked for 2013's data is no longer up, so that's a dead link. But I do have 2014 and 16. And, oh, you know what? This link might actually work too. Top Global Licensors Report. Of course, I can't actually log in to get to it, but yeah, it has other companies reporting.
Well, here's a quote from 2002.
Warner, Discovery, Hasbro, Pokemon, Mattel, all these different brands, NBC. Hasbro is the number 5 top global licensor of 2024, by the way, fun fact.
I don't care.
$14.1 billion. So all of this to say, I have legitimate sources to prove how much money MLP made in a couple of years.
Okay, in a couple of years?
There is no source to demonstrate unless you found something. And if you found something great, let me show you the conversation.
Let me show you this.
Please do.
This is after a couple of years, just like with My Little whatever the hell it's called. I can't remember that shit.
Oh, let me see.
Stupid
Cartoon
horses.
Network's first movie foray stems from one of its most successful TV shows, The Powerpuff Girls, featuring Buttercup, Bubbles, and Blossom. They did it in the wrong order.
Yeah, that's uncalled for, but they shouldn't have done that.
Just joking.
No, you're not joking.
Little
they shouldn't
girls
have done
whose
that.
mission in life. No, they shouldn't have done that. It's actually a cardinal sin. Little girls whose mission in life alters between fighting crimes and winning at hopscotch, as the network says. Even without a movie, the show has spawned enough licensed merchandise to generate nearly $1 billion in retail sales, according to the network. Nickelodeon's latest movie is a spin-off of...
No, you don't have to read the rest. Nobody cares. I don't care about
I don't have to read the rest. I realize that. So when was this article written? 2002?
2002.
Okay.
Right before the movie, because they thought the movie would make money at that point.
And then it didn't. Oh man.
Okay, well I'll give My Little Pony that. They had the more successful movie.
Yes.
I will give them that.
More sales and merchandise.
Well, I didn't say that. I didn't say that part.
I know. I just like to get under. I like to hear you.
The funny thing is, this is something,
Shadow. You're wrong.
There's something we're getting none of this money, so this doesn't affect us at all.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. The argument was basically just who has made the companies more money, Craig or Lauren.
Yeah, this is like a my dad is stronger than your dad argument, basically.
Yeah, except we're arguing over two people that are in the same relationship.
Well, this isn't Craig versus Lauren. This is Powerpuff versus Pony.
Yes.
That's really toxic. Imagine that's so parasocial. It's like Craig versus Lauren. Who's stronger?
That's super parasocial.
Imagine comparing a married couple. Like which one is stronger?
Yeah, no.
But that is so insane.
It is actually. Yeah, don't do that. It's kind of messed up. But yeah, no. Anyway, the reason why we kind of went on that tangent is because RJ and I were talking about the fact that we really didn't have any sort of intro whatsoever to kind of go off of as far as any news, especially because we're recording this episode 2 days after the last one.
Yeah.
So that being said, other than this tangent we began the episode with, RJ, do you have anything else to say before we dive into this week's episodes?
Heck no.
No? Okay. Cool. Well, in that case, let's just go ahead and get right into it. So this week's episode of the the city of Soundsville, is the season 1 finale, even though it's not really like propped up as a finale, but it is the last episode. Oh Dynamo. It is another half-hour episode, although this one's actually notably shorter compared to most of because like most of the episodes that are half an hour in Powerpuff do go close to like that 22-minute, expectation. This one's like 18.
It's like 19, yeah. And that's the funny thing, because I don't know if you could get away with this now. I don't think a network now would let you. I mean, I guess, to be honest, in a way they actually would because of streaming. I don't think a network show, though, would allow you to just go under like this.
Yeah.
They'd probably tell you, no, this has to be like 22 minutes exactly, or whatever the number is right now.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's definitely an interesting note, and kind of what RJ alluded to in the last episode. There's a reason for that, and for the sake of not stealing his thunder,
but just
I'll let him explain it again.
And just like before I get to that, it's just like that's really good that they made that decision for quality, because if they told them to get it up to time, we'd just get like we'd get like a scene of like exposition that wasn't needed there. So like I actually like that they just let it be short for reasons of quality, basically. That's awesome to me.
Right.
And yeah, the reason why why the episode is short is because this was intended to be an 11-minute episode. I don't know how they were planning to fit all this story in 11 minutes. Or maybe the original story was very different, but Don Shanks just went overboard with this one. I think basically that's just what happens with Don Shank. I think all of his stories end up being super long. Every time they tried to give him something shorter, like he always ends up making it too long, and he has to cut out like an hour of content from it. So I think Crisscross Crisis, that's the same deal. And all of his 11-minute episodes have cut content in it. So this one, I think Cartoon Network saw how it was going, or at least Craig and Gendy saw how his storyboard was coming out, and they were just like, let's just extend this since they're allowing us to do 22 minutes. And I think that's that's for the better. Because once again, I can't see this being in 11 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think it benefits from being longer than that, for sure.
Yeah, and you get a lot of action too. You get emotion and like action, which aren't usually the part of the show. Well, they are a part of the show, but just not to this extent.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, so just kind of jumping into just to kind of give the plot synopsis of what we're talking about. And in case there's someone who listens to this podcast but hasn't actually watched the show in a long, long time and is just kind of using us as a way to recollect and
in other words, a sinner.
Yeah, essentially. Basically, this episode features the Powerpuff Girls and their father spending some time at Tokyo Townsville, and there's a monster that shows up and they beat it. And then the professor's like, oh my gosh, my girls could have been hurt. I'm so scared. I'm going to build them a robot mech suit to fight monsters. And then he does that. And then the girls are like, yeah, we're not going to use this. Bye. And then they go through a week of fighting crime. And the professor gets all sad and he dusts it. And then at the end of the week, they go back to the Tokyo Townsville again. And this time, it's the same monster, but bigger. And the girls can't beat it. And then the professor's like, you have to use the Dynamo now. That's the name of the robot mech suit. It's Dynamo. And they're like, okay, we'll use it, Professor. And then they use it and they fight the monster. And it's another really long action sequence that rules. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. And then at the end of the episode, they win.
At the end, they win. Wow, very exciting.
And they win. Yep, that's what happens. They win.
But to what extent?
Unlike the last episode where they lose.
But yeah. Also, yeah, Dynamo is from Craig's Student Films.
Yes, we briefly talked about this.
Yeah,
in our
probably not briefly. We spent a long
time
on that, I'm sure.
Well, the thing we spent the most amount of time on was the opening line of "We're all gonna die."
We're all gonna die. Yeah, that's that might be my favorite of the 4 films. Like, it's the least.
It is.
Craig didn't get to finish that one, so like it's just that one is just so weird. It's like, we're all gonna die.
He didn't get to finish it, but he did with this episode.
He did, yeah, in a way, right?
Yeah,
he got to finish it. Like,
he did in a way.
He finished it like 8 years later.
Yep.
That math is off, so I'm not doing the math right now.
You're good. I forgive you.
Thank you.
But yeah, essentially, Oh Dynamo is the final form of that monster attack student film. So it's cool. There's
yeah, but it's a robot this time. They just kind of they just sort of like formed together to create the Dynamo.
Yeah. Before it was like they basically like just fused. the three of them to become the giant thing. But now it's the professor's invention,
It's
which I honestly prefer.
Dynamo.
I really do prefer that. Mostly just from the writing aspect, because it's like if the girls could just like morph into the Dynamo at will, then I mean, yes, you can make the argument that it could still be destructible or whatever, but like the fact that the Dynamo isn't just so easily accessible like that makes it more unique in that sense.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, this
feel
is an actual story.
like
That
it's
was just like
special.
a 3-minute superhero parody thing.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I like that change, that decision that was made to change that from the original film to what we got here. I like that. I prefer
Yeah.
it being, and it's also in theme with the whole kaiju, esque, battle that they have going on here, because this episode is very inspired by like old Godzilla movies and whatnot, and
Mecha,
and, like
Mecha's part of that.
yeah, mecha and kaiju battle, giant monsters, that sort of thing, and to that point, like mecha is very much a very big part of Japanese culture, and having a giant robot fight a giant monster, it just it's the perfect.
Yeah, this is
blend
the
of that.
Japan
It's a very
episode.
good homage. It is. I mean, they even have it's literally called Tokyo Townsville.
Townsville.
Like this is very much in honor and an homage of like those movies that Craig and Gendy and all them probably watched growing up as when they were kids. I mean, I know people that are around their age that grew up with those movies. I know one guy in particular, he loves the old like classic Godzilla movies from like the 60s, 70s, that sort of era. So
Well, there's a lot of pure spectacle
definitely
to
got
those
a huge,
movies that they're never going to do again because of CG.
Yeah, exactly. It's like those movies were completely authentic. I mean, it was all practical. It was a guy in a costume and styrofoam, but they, with the way that they would shoot the movies and frame things and depict everything, it's like those were super appealing back in the day. Excuse me.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
mean,
I
like
think
every Power Up episode kind of takes from Godzilla, but like this is an entire half hour of it.
This is direct. This is just a direct, like, yeah, we love this.
The
kind
city of
stuff.
Townsville is
And
under
it
attack
shows.
for a full half hour,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
there's no punch jail door slam.
Right. But yeah, so I guess we can just kind of start from the beginning and kind of just touch on the aspects of the episode like we usually do. So the episode begins with basically a montage of just setup of like, here's all these different, sights to see in Townsville.
Really, a
you've
lot of
got
it is just a
this
collection of great
high-speed-
backgrounds.
Yes, it's just great like design for fleshing out the city of Townsville. I mean, it's like, here's the bowling alley, here's the museum, here's this high-speed bullet train, like here's all this cool stuff. The only thing it doesn't have is Mount
Hey,
Rushmore.
hi, Mom. Which I love that. This is kind of sad though,
Yeah.
because they're just showing everything that gets destroyed later in the episode.
But that's what I like about
Yeah,
it.
it's great.
Set up for that. So it's like it's not pointless.
It's not pointless, no.
Just, hey, we're filling time, la-di-da-di-da. Like, no, like this is all foreshadowing for all of the major set pieces that are going to be playing into the battle between the balloonfish monster and Dynamo. And it's cool because it's like, yeah, at one point the balloonfish monster rips the bullet train off the track and uses it as nunchucks. There's the one part where the Dynamo gets sent blasting straight through the museum and landing in the
That
Capitol
ugly and
building.
faceless
It's like,
museum.
yeah, and then obviously the very end where the girls grab the spikes off the sign and use them as shurikens to hit the thing. Like, it's like all of this stuff is established in the beginning, and when you watch it for the first time, you're thinking like, oh, this is some cool world building, but then you realize, oh, that was so cool that they basically fleshed out all of the set pieces of the battle in a way that it's like watching it for the first time, it's like you have no idea that these are all going to come back and be major factors in how the fight plays out, which is, it's really cool setup. I love that detail, those details that they incorporate there. Even the freaking Mount Rushmore thing comes back. Like, it's not random. It serves a purpose. I love that. It's great structure.
Yeah. He started real long, and I just like the narrator has so much to do that he just he just says thank you after that.
Yeah.
And I love that whole thing that he does. The
He
sisters
speaks
Puff
in
are
a
quite
haiku,
tough.
doesn't he?
Yeah, I think it is a haiku.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sisters Puff are quite tough.
Or no, maybe it's not a haiku. I think it's just a rhyme.
Maybe they
It's not a
thought they
haiku.
were
I think
doing
it's
a
just
haiku.
rhyming. Yeah, I don't remember.
This is very Americans, like looking at Japanese pop culture without doing like actual research. Which I think it's pretty I don't think this episode is really offensive. They did a there was a Dexter finale called Last But Not Beast. You know, very cool. But there was a lot of
Yep.
Japan stuff that I think was just like it's like okay, like you guys could have done a little bit of research for that, but this one is mostly fine. So I
Hmm.
think it mostly stays in that genre of movie parodies.
Yep. Which again is really cool to see, especially because those kinds of movies have only gotten more popular like as time's gone on.
So I mean, they're still cool,
Yeah.
and then obviously the
Yeah, they're
franchises
still
have
making
lasted.
Godzilla movies, and Kong and Pacific Rim. I mean, I know the sequel wasn't good according to a lot of people. But the first Pacific Rim was really cool. I haven't seen the sequel, but I liked the first one. So it's like they still got its fan. Obviously, mecha is still big in Japan, whether it's anime or movies or whatever. So like,
Oh
you
yeah,
know, it's still prevalent.
it's still around.
Yep. And then we kind of cut in, or not cut, but like transition fade into the bonsai gardens. And I know you really enjoy the sequence with like all the still frames. Where
I
they're
always
like
enjoy
taking the
that. Yeah,
pictures.
it's like Ren and Stimpy pictures, but just like not gross.
Yeah.
Like what Ren and Stimpy close-ups were like cute. The only
Yeah,
thing is,
they're
I think that this
wholesome and
grass was meant to
family
be sand
oriented.
originally, because you see Buttercup playing with
Yeah.
the grass, and I have no idea what she's doing. I think
Yeah,
that
that's
is
fair.
very. I do love the design of Buttercup in her glasses.
Yes. Yeah. One of my favorite lines of the whole episode is, "It's root beer time."
TGIF, yeah,
Classic. Yeah. Bubbles, it's Saturday.
yeah. It's so childish. I love that.
Yeah. But yeah, every time I drink a root beer, I feel compelled to say it's root beer time.
I can never do that because I hate root beer.
How could you? All right, let's have another 10-minute debate on this.
Yeah, root beer sucks. Hey, just find me the sources that say root
I'm-
beer is good.
I'm just kidding. Let's not.
That's
Yeah, can we find the source on the number of sales that root beer
yeah,
has
yeah,
each
right.
year
I-
and compare it to the number of sales that not root beer has?
So, what do you think is the giant fish balloon is probably the most iconic monster in the show?
Yes, I would say so.
I would say he deserves that. This is like good episode, and also like the design is great.
I mean, it's one of, if not the biggest monster fights. Yeah, there's other monster fight episodes, but this is a half hour.
They did the signal in the sky
So it's
video
like
with
it's
him.
really pedestaled up. I was gonna say he's featured in a lot of other things too. Like it's not just like he's only really in this one episode. I mean he gets cameos and other stuff, of course. But he's featured in the Signal is the Sky video. He's featured in a lot of Cartoon Network bumpers. He's featured in the 10th anniversary special as the representative of all the monsters, basically. So he's more relevant than a lot of the other monsters that we see.
Yeah, and I believe it's just Kevin Michael Richardson doing like his monster voices because I guess that's what he was known for. I guess he might still be known for that, but I don't know him as much as the monster guy anymore. But it's a very silly monster voice.
I
that
know him
like.
as the deep voice guy.
He's just the deep voice guy.
He's the deep voice guy. Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's like Cartoon Network was so interesting at the time. There was just like so many good voice actors around there. You could just pull somebody like out, like he was at the studio, and just be like, "Hey, help us record this episode," even if it's for a bit part, which
Right.
I love. It's always like Candy Milo just
Yeah.
sitting around. Well, I mean, I'm not sure that they actually recorded this at Cartoon Network Studios. I think actually, that's right. I think they recorded this at some place called Salami Studios, I believe. I'm not sure how close
Okay.
it is to Cartoon Network or Hanna-Barbera or whatever. Yeah, the professor goes parent mode again in this episode. That's one of the reasons I like this episode. I think any episode really that has the professor in a big role just ends up being that much better.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even just because I like the character. It's also just because it just adds another layer to the show. It makes the characters feel more realistic in some ways. And it's that much funnier because they're an actual family. So yeah, I really like when they do that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you established something about the girls, which like we kind of talked about in the Rowdy Rough Boys. There's like, they're not cocky, but they're very confident that like they could pretty much take on anything.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think that's very funny. Like by the time you get to the second half of the episode, they're just like, they get this awesome robot. They spend so much time setting up how awesome Dynamo is basically. And they're just like, okay. I think Buttercup even like scoffs as a Valley Girl, which I love. She's like, we have superpowers,
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's that scene when they're kind of in the lab or whatever has like the cool lighting effects again. I'm glad. they
Yeah,
brought
it's like
that
orange and
kind of,
blue.
like, shading style again. Yeah.
Which I know, yeah, years later, like
Wonder
every
about
action
that.
movie started using orange and blue, and I remember that was like a criticism of film snobs. They're just like, stop using this color scheme and everything. But this was 1998, so it was cool.
It was very cool.
And I
Very
don't
cool
really see this
indeed.
color scheme in cartoons that much. Very creative.
Hmm.
Because you also have to remember, like, I don't know how, like, I'm sure Cartoon Network cartoons in general have more complicated colors, and we see more
Hmm.
anime now. But I don't think like cartoon color palettes weren't that creative in like the 90s for most of the shows anyway. Because like a lot
Hmm.
of other shows, I would say like a lot of especially like Saturday Morning, they're really just known like it's blue skies, pretty like typical colors, I would say.
Hmm.
I don't think there wasn't that much like really thinking out of the box with colors.
Yeah. And
So
I've
this is
always loved the color theory featured in Powerpuff Girls. It's always
yeah.
been super unique, just like across all
And
the
it's
classic
unique for
seasons.
even having color theory because yeah, at that time a lot of shows
Yes.
didn't.
Yeah, every like a lot of shows it was like always like, okay, here's the same background, or the same color, it's like I'm trying to think of like an example like, I mean there's basically any cartoon. I mean, you can look at something like, I don't know, what else was around that time. Like SpongeBob. Like don't get me wrong, I love SpongeBob's backgrounds, but it's like it always looks the same. You've always got the same looking sand and the same water background with the flowers in the sky. And it's like there's nothing wrong with that. I love the aesthetic of SpongeBob's backgrounds.
Well, yeah, I'm not
But
suggesting that
Powerpuff
there's something
Girls,
wrong
like
with the
you
other
can get
shows,
an
but this
episode
is
where
like
you've got like a pink sky, purple city. The next episode you got a blue city with a yellow sky. The next episode you got a white city with a green sky. Like it changes
yeah,
every
they
episode, and
really
it's so
took the
cool.
art of color theory a little bit more seriously than other shows that were still good, that still had good color.
Yeah.
Like other shows there were other shows with good color, but like this is really extreme, like pretty much revolutionary for the time, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100%. But yeah, and then we kind of get the reveal of the dynamo, and then the girls basically just neglect it. And we get this
Neglected.
really cool montage that I enjoy.
And I love that music.
Yeah, we get this montage. I love the music, and I love like all the different things that the girls encounter, because it's like they've got a damn octopus
Yeah, that
problem.
damn octopus problem
They've
looks
got.
like
I
nice.
love.
That's
Yeah.
one thing they snuck
Yep.
away. They
I
got away with. There's I think I forgot to mention there is a bowling alley that has a questionable pin design. And
Mhm.
I don't know, like I feel like a couple of years ago I would say like you guys are being immature and putting stuff into these shows, but like I hearing more and more about the Cartoon Network staff from people who worked there, I think that was fully intentional.
Mhm.
It just like no one no like just knowing more about their
Of
humor.
course it
Yeah.
was.
Oh, that was intentional.
It was pretty on the nose. Yeah.
And yeah, there's another like fun painting of the girls really taking the piss off of the bad guy. And there's blood.
Ooh.
And I love the bank is called Binkity Bonk Bank, and like they're they're beating him up.
Yeah, the Binkity
Yeah, and
Bonk
there's a
Bank. I
gun and
love
there's
that.
blood. This is like, awesome,
Yep.
awesome painting and shot.
Yep.
Yeah. The painting is a little lump. I think this was actually repainted, I think, overseas. I'm not sure why. I think Rough Draft there was something going on with Rough Draft where I think they would repaint like paintings that were sent from the US crew because I have an art book for the show, and there's a version of that. Maybe I'll send it to you, Shadow. But like there's a version of this painting that's
Mhm.
like this, but it's a little cleaner. This is great, but like it's even better. So I think I don't know what it was. Maybe it wasn't up to size or something. I'm not sure what the problem was, but they were redo
Yeah.
paintings for whatever reason. I think they had a valid reason for it, but I can't place it.
Mhm. Yeah. Another thing I will compliment is I really enjoyed the spacesuits that the girls are given when
Yes,
they're up in
yeah.
space.
Chris Battle
Kinda like the
designs.
gray style with. Yeah, and each headpiece has like a different, again, a different design to match kind of how the girls each have a different design with their hair.
Yeah, I love the sparks.
Which is cool. Yeah, 100%. And then I also really love one of my favorite gags in the whole episode is Friday. When Mojo's got this super
So
evil plan,
stupid.
and it's just hit the girls with a stick. Like it's one of some of the show's best humor is the humor that it doesn't even draw attention to it. It's just like, if you're paying attention, it's like Mojo's whole evil plan is, I'm gonna beat the Powerpuff Girls with a stick. That'll beat them.
That'll get 'em.
It's so
That's like a step up from
stupid,
Flypaper.
but I love it. Yeah.
And
I
Townsend's already
love
like
it.
Mojo again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. So yeah, I love that whole montage. It's really cool.
And I think the season does a good job. Like by the end of this, like end of the season, especially seeing that gag, you're just like, okay, Mojo's their main villain, and he's kind of stupid.
Mm-hmm.
He's a threat, but he's very
yeah.
stupid. I even just like I just like the text of the montage too. I think that's very cool. And it's not like this isn't like none of this is particularly hard to do. It's just, it's just well done and fun to look at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just
Definitely.
these superheroes are so cool that they're just not using this robot. I have to
Mm-hmm.
say we didn't talk about like I freaking love that scene where Professor is building the robot.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Science Con
They did a they
95
did
or
a
whatever.
they did Mr. Mojo's Rising. There's a sequence kind of like that. This is almost like building on it.
Yes. Yeah. But this one has more of like an overlay effect, where like they'll overlay like the clock spinning while the professor's up late at night, and they'll do like cool, interesting visuals with
Yeah,
that.
it's very 50s
Which I really
sci-fi
appreciate.
films.
It makes it more distinct and different from the other one.
Yeah, and it's very 50s sci-fi
Yeah.
like movies, and it's also kind of very UPA-ish.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of color schemes. I just love all these. Like there's some of the I think really some of the best drawings of Professor Utonium ever on this episode. There's one model of him just like being really tired and like writing, and his eyes are just like bloodshot. Just awesome. And him in a robot, all of it's good. And of course, all this is monkey cheese random. Nobody who's drawing him knows what the heck he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But very cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, before we go on, I also want to say I do like that. I like the big-eyed Bubbles like tearing when he's talking to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Totally.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, it's the it's Saturday again, and the monster tries to attack again.
Yep. And this time, the monster brings a friend.
Yeah. I don't know why. I laugh every
bigger
time I see that.
monster.
Like, can't you come back later? It's Saturday.
Yeah. Oh.
I also
then
forgot
we get
he
the
comes up
real,
and he's just
the
like,
giant
he's
blue
sort of like
monster.
rooting for him. Like, ooh, 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 ooh.
Mm-hmm. And then you get like the one eye that like pops up and the kid flips out.
This is like where the horror of this episode begins. This is a freaking scary episode.
It is freaky. I mean, like literally a bunch of kids get swallowed by the damn monster and then spit out.
Yeah, it's kind of like looking at the Rowdy Rough Boys. It's like if you thought that one was bad, this one is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, that's actually pretty good animation. Like they have the monster consume all the kids. So that's like a lot of animation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Very good. And the balloon, I think the balloon monster changes how many eyes he has multiple times in this episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent in the first half though. And yeah, there's more funny drawings of the girls. The girls try to hit him and like it's just like it's just hurting their hands.
Yep.
I mean it's like they're kind of basically
legs,
it's like they're just like stubbing their toes, but instead of their arms and legs, they're really funny drawings.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And I also love he goes into town with like torches. Using the buildings as torches.
Mm-hmm.
And he high fives the little monster.
Yep. And then he just goes on to destroy the city, basically.
It's that time. I'm off to destroy the universe.
Yep.
And then the professor forces them to use it or they're grounded.
And that's where we cut back to the house and the girls enter the dynamo and we get this really cool I always love this.
Yes.
This really cool
I just love the text first off when they say dynamo.
Initiate the dynamo.
That flash, I always thought that was the coolest thing ever.
And then we when we get the dynamo kind of like rising out of the house and the professor's like, easy now. Easy.
Yeah.
And in his little like helicopter, and then like there's this really cool like song that plays very briefly that's like really triumphant and epic. It's like da 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 da. It's so good.
I mean, I know like most I know most music buffs will like you can't really tell apart, mid-eye. Am I saying it right? Is it mid-eye or MIDI?
MIDI.
Yeah. I was gonna say MIDI, but I was like, I assumed that was wrong for whatever reason. You could tell apart MIDI, MIDI music from real orchestra, but this is really the closest it ever got. The show is a lot better at getting close to orchestra than some other shows. I think even like I'm not. This isn't the SpongeBob hate podcast, by the way. We all like SpongeBob, but like this is just like the example I was thinking. SpongeBob had this musical episode. What was it? I think that's when his pants got inflated.
The sponge
who could fly, right? And I think I just remember hearing music and like SpongeBob has very good music, and no, I'm not throwing shade at those composers, but it's hard
Mhm.
to, it's hard to make digital instruments sound like, real instruments. And I remember that sort of being fake sounding. And I was just like, oh, I was kind of spoiled from Dexter's and Powerpuff because their orchestra sounds really good.
Uh-huh.
Their fake orchestra sounds really good. But yeah, that this whole sequence is really fun. And it's also
Mhm.
that's why also again why this is inventive because you've never seen this type of sequence with this art style.
Mhm.
Like, you've never seen a UPA or Hanna-Barbera cartoon with this much action. So always awesome. And yeah, conceptually that's hilarious too. Like you have to use the awesome robot reluctantly or your dad's gonna ground you. Like only this show. And then yeah, there's some destruction in this
Yeah, for
that's like
real.
actually disturbing.
Yeah, so that's the next part I really wanted to kind of get into is like where the last episode had like a lot of like choreography and action and don't get me wrong, this one has choreography too, of course. But where the last one kind of really like just focused on the boys fighting the girls, it was very much focused on those
Mhm.
characters and you could see some other people being affected by it, like their car being smashed and their apartment being busted into. But like the destruction of this episode like transcends that one because the sheer
Mhm.
amount of destruction of buildings being destroyed, people getting eaten. There's one shot that I always call out that like most people never notice. There's this one shot where the balloonfish monster goes over to a building and just shakes the people out of it,
Yeah.
and you can literally see the people falling to their deaths. There's no acknowledgement given to it. The girls don't save them because they're in the robot. Like you just see
And then
people
they
fall to
catch
their
him and
deaths.
he
It's
slowly
super
stops shaking
great.
it. Which is funny. That's
Yep.
that's such funny dark
He
humor.
literally
Yeah.
eats that old woman. He eats the old woman, and you
Yes.
never see her. Like you don't see her come out. Like there's the other episode where like the old woman gets smashed by the water tower that Buttercup throws at
Yeah.
her.
Well,
Or
she
whatever,
survives.
and then you see her pop out of the wheel at the last second, like she survived. There's no such
And
survival shot here. The woman literally
thankfully
just
it
gets
wasn't on
eaten.
Nickelodeon because she would say, "I'm okay."
Yeah, right.
But
But like the sheer amount of destruction, and then there's of course the blimp scene, which is like super brutal if you listen to
and by
the
the way,
audio.
like I know this
Because
this
you just hear people screaming as they burn into a fiery
yeah, a
explosion.
lot of this sounds like us being like wow, this kid show is so dark, but like with this one, like you really like if you haven't seen this in a while, it really has to be seen to be believed. This is
It's
brutal.
super
Yeah.
violent. It's super violent.
Yeah, and you just mentioned the one I was gonna bring up. Yeah, the horn like falls into a blimp. The blimp explodes and catches on fire, and then the entire stadium catches on fire. Like that is like
Yep.
that is the most that's the scariest. I think that was honestly maybe the one shot that was probably too much for me as a kid. Which, by the way, I love that it was too much for me as a kid. I liked that.
Mhm.
Kids enjoy being scared. Yeah, that's like, oh my gosh. I think part of what makes that is like you hear the audio of people screaming. Like I think even the dynamo like covers their eyes. It's very
Mhm.
fun. Oh yeah, and Dexter's chilling in the crowd.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's
That's
like an
right.
older
That's right.
Dexter. That's what I do like that. I do like the model designers were just like really still attached to Dexter, so they were just putting him in there.
Hmm.
Maybe that was almost a compromise. Like if we have to work on these girls now, then I'm just gonna put Dexter wherever I feel like it. I'm just kidding. I don't think there was contempt. And also a very funny a thing that I love obviously is it's good, it's good, it's good from the talking dog. Good, it's
It's
good.
good. It's good. It's good.
They're just putting the talking dog wherever they can, and I love it. I think doesn't that sign shows up again in the Samurai Jack, right? A
Yes,
version of
does,
it,
in the
I guess.
apocalypse. Yeah. Yep. When all the dogs talk in that society,
Right. Why did you laugh like that?
because it implies that the talking dog is an ancestor of all of the dogs in Samurai Jack.
Yeah, well, don't do that anymore.
How dare you? But yeah, and like the whole fight sequence just through and through, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of really cool set pieces that I love, with everything. One of the best sequences, I think, hands down, is the whole missile launch sequence where it's like just all these fast cuts of all these different angles across
Yes.
the Dynamo's entire body of like all these missiles just opening up and like kind of coming out on launchers, and like there's these giant just spots that open up on the legs as all these
Mhm.
missiles are revealed, and like you get these extensions that come out of like the arms and the elbows, and it's just super cool. And then you've got like the
Dun,
dun
dun,
dun
dun.
dun
Yeah.
dun dun, which I
I know
love
you were
that.
waiting
I
to talk
love
about that. That is
leitmotif.
such a cool
And then
sequence.
and Yeah, it's an amazing sequence, and Gendy obviously is written all over it.
Gendy also. I'm
But
sorry,
what
go on.
I was just gonna say, and like the best part about it though is like it's this really cool like build up sequence. It goes on for like 40 some seconds or something, like close to a minute. It's crazy, and then like you get this really cool shot, and the balloon fist monster is just kind of standing there like, what? And then like all the missiles go off. You get this really fast paced music. You see all these explosions, like boom, 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 just like rapid fire. And then it ends with a big joke where
Everything
it
but the
blew
monster,
up
yeah.
everything around the monster,
And the
but
Dynamo
there's
looks a
not
little
scratch
guilty
on the
about it
monster
too.
at all, which is hysterical. Yeah. He's
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh.
that's just
But
so much setup for like a
a really
stupid gag, as always.
yes, so much setup. It's like 90 seconds to lead up to this one joke, but it's great. And the important thing about this episode that they make blatantly like they intentionally choreograph the fight in this way. The Dynamo does way more damage to the city than the monster does. And that's intentional because there's a point that and a conclusion that the episode arrives at the end. Where, you know, I love looking at that because like as a kid, like I never really paid attention to that, but like as I got older and I started like looking at things more analytically and paying more attention to the finer details of this, the fact that it's like you see shots where it's like there's the one shot where the balloonfish monster jumps into the alley of the city and does like this pose and like beats its chest or whatever, doesn't touch a single building. Then you get the Dynamo that lands on the opposite side and it does like this arm thrust thing and it literally sends its arms through two buildings and
it's
just
just
destroys
a
them.
ton of destruction.
Which again is an intentional staging and blocking choice that like it's not like because again the whole point is that the episode arrives at the conclusion of the mayor being mad at them like never use this thing again because it destroyed my beautiful city. You know, this thing causes way too much damage and harm to people, and it does. And it's like the episode displays this in so many ways, whether obvious such as the missile sequence or so something as simple as them striking poses and the monster not doing damage. It's like all those finer details that the care and attention that was put into this show. It's so admirable because there's so many other shows out there that don't care this much.
And I have to say about that missile sequence, there was I wish I remember what episode this was. I do know Randy Myers, a timing director on the show, was like Gendy really likes the sequence. I guess he was really happy with the sequence. So, and I mean, partially he timed the sequence, right? Mm-hmm. So he really liked the sequence and he wanted to build on it in a Samurai Jack episode. So I remember like Randy said, like they were just going, like they always talked about this sequence for that episode. I really wish I knew what episode that was. I mean, you're a bigger Samurai Jack expert. Is there an episode that has a sequence like this? I guess all of them, really, right?
A lot of them, yeah. A lot of them. Yeah. I couldn't tell you just one episode. It happens all the time. It's like, but again, Samurai Jack is like, again, the next level in the evolution of this.
Literally, yeah. Because Powerpuff
like,
was
not
a
only
from
is
Dexter.
it doing. Because not only is this doing like, again, like the fast cutting and whatever, but Samurai Jack has multiple cuts on screen at the same time where Gendy loves in Samurai Jack to split the screen into pieces and show like, here's a top widescreen horizontal shot of like, Jack on the left and Aku on the right, and then we're gonna get in the bottom left corner, it's gonna cut cut into a triangle, and we're gonna see Jack's face running towards it, and then in the middle we're gonna see kind of maybe a medium shot of Aku in this bull form or whatever, and then on the right hand corner is when you see them both collide, and it does like this freeze frame thing in the other frames before that happens. There's so much artistic just design and thought that went into Gendy designing Samurai Jack's action that's like super unique.
That's such a cool thing. Like that's so great for a network to just be at that point where like they could just let these people like build on like what worked for them creatively. Like they're just like, okay, like this was really cool. Like when we do our next show, let's build on this and like take it to the next level. Because yeah, like I said, that happened with Dexter. And then they did that with Samurai. They're just like, okay, this worked, this really worked for us. So like let's build on this and get even more creative. Which like I love that, and the network allowed it. Like that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For sure. And it's like it's super admirable that Cartoon Network was willing to take risks like that back in the day because we got so many amazing shows out of them allowing that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like creativity really does like it's interesting how creativity can thrive under certain restrictions, sure, and we have plenty of examples of great shows that benefited from that. One of the most common ones I know that I love to call upon is Batman Beyond, because Batman Beyond was under very weird stipulations, but they managed to make one of the best Batman shows ever out of it.
Yeah. Ren and Stimpy too, but I don't think you're a fan of Ren and Stimpy.
I am not a fan of that, no.
That is an example, though.
But yes, it is an example. That is fair.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, it's like there is such a thing as like having too much creative freedom. That can be a bad thing if it's not reined in. But
it also
having
depends
enough
on
creative
who you
freedom
are,
is
right?
necessary.
Because I think Cartoon Network more or less trusted Craig and Gendy, because I think they saw, I'm pretty sure Cartoon Network kind of saw what, like, and also partially on their part, they understood that creators could get fired from their own shows, or like, the shows could be taken from them or canceled. So
yes,
I would say
and the
Cartoon
other thing too, to that point, that's made apparent is that the thing with Craig and Gendy is they had each other to rein each other in and to bounce off of each other. And so it's like, I'm more than certain there were moments where Gendy had an idea and Craig came in and said, well, what if you did this? And Gendy was like, oh, that's genius. Let's do that instead, or whatever. And vice versa. I'm certain that happened.
I remember
those guys.
Gendy even said, I think this was recent. It was like, there's the Bancroft Brothers podcast. That's right. That's a good podcast, by the way. It's two Disney guys, they're brothers. And, they interviewed Gendy, but Gendy did say that about his time as Cartoon Network. They were just like, what was good about Craig is he had like really weird ideas. So like Gendy as a director was just like, okay, so like now I get to make those work.
Yep.
So that's really fun. And I just like also on a network level, I think they really did trust Craig and Gendy, because I think they realized, I don't think Craig and Gendy are really trying to get away with putting like a bunch of like inappropriate stuff on TV. I mean, like, they kind of are, as every artist is, but I don't think they as often put stuff that they couldn't air. Yeah,
for sure.
Like it basically, it wasn't a Ren and Stimpy situation. Basically, I don't think they really had to watch them in that way. And I have to say, I love all the destruction.
Yeah, of course,
before like the destruction of the mayor's office. And like you get a cute moment of like the professor saying he was worried. Like just the timing of that, like I was worried, oh professor, like but meanwhile the context is, it's not like a normal kid thing, it's just like they're destroying half of the city because their dad was worried. I just love that. Yeah,
I mean, all in all, it's a really solid episode.
All of it. I went silent before for a second because I was looking, I admit I was Googling rice candy because I was about to yell at them for that. I was like, okay, like like what is that supposed to mean? But okay, rice candy is an actual thing, so you guys are okay.
That's a relief.
They blew up a gas station.
Yep.
And that's a really cool explosion, by the way, because it's like it's all lit up. We're suckers for whenever like they put light in these things. Whenever there's like a lighting effect in this, that's the coolest thing of all time.
I forget. Maybe I'm misremembering. Is this the episode that has the sign that says "We're full of it," or am I thinking of Down and Dirty? I think I'm thinking of Down and Dirty.
That might be Down and Dirty. Yeah.
Never mind. Yeah.
There's destruction in other episodes, by the way.
Had a sign on it, but yeah, of course there is. But this is probably the most intense it ever gets.
I would think so. Force Kin has a lot.
Yeah. It does.
I don't think it goes as far as
but
this,
I'd still probably say this one goes harder. I mean, because again, we talked about it. The sheer amount of on-screen death is like unmatched.
I mean, like they destroy a highway. All those cars fly off.
Yep.
Eesh, spooky.
All the people in that train that he uses as nunchucks.
Yeah, and also, let's not forget this, right? Like the people are booing him, and he sprays fire.
Spits fire on them. Yeah.
Just because he's offended. So dumb. And yeah, the donut goes through like the one of his spikes goes through like the donut hole perfectly. They take out Mojo's lair too. Yeah, this is also a very fun sequence with like the Dynamo's pigtails start spinning and sort of like create this like helicopter like motion. It's a very silly like robot thing, but like he stops it just with the mouth market sign.
And then the crowd just goes,
"Aw, yeah." And yeah, I guess he kills them. I think that audience basically that we see in that shot is dead. This is about as evil as a Powerpuff Girls movie. So like a lot of those reviewers had no idea what the show was about.
Yeah.
This is like
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that obviously. Yeah. And then yeah, they obviously get to like the side, like the stars in the bowling alley, which I guess you could say that's slightly weak, but I like the cycle repeating.
Yeah, the build up to it with like the
Yeah,
dynamo
dun dun
posing
dun dun dun.
and then the whole like swiping
Yeah,
of the basically the shurikens.
yeah, shurikens. Yeah, yeah.
It's really cool.
It's such a silly like they did all this fighting just for that, and it covers
Yeah,
Mount
right.
Rushmore.
Like I said, it comes back from the beginning. It's all great.
And then obviously
But yeah.
you have the robot dance.
Mm-hmm.
They do the robot. I
Classic.
do remember there's some edit I think of this. I don't know if it's still up on YouTube, but I just remember somebody putting Mr. Roboto to this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, synced pretty well. But yeah, I love that.
Nice.
But like it's like it's not just that they're doing the robot, like as typical in like cartoons. They're doing it in like the midst of destruction.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, yeah, obviously like you said before, the mayor yells at them. And it's I think it's pretty funny because it's not really expected.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they pretty much just dump it all on the professor. So they're actually hating Professor for being worried about their safety.
Yep.
Which I don't know, whose side are you on though? Because
I'm on the side of the girls.
you think they could have just got back up and fought him, right? I mean, I guess if they weren't using
Yes.
it, they would have found the stars anyway, right?
Yeah, they would have found some other way to fight it for
Without the
sure.
destruction. It's also kind of funny
Mhm.
because it's kind of like sort of being meta about like, these giant monster films are like mecha. It's like, yeah, like you saved us, but
Yep.
like you destroyed everything.
Yep. Yeah.
It's right. This is
Do you
it's
have any other closing thoughts
I'm
that
sorry,
you
just
wanna?
one more thing I want to say, like,
Yeah,
that
you're
that's
good.
just like that's just me harping on how much I like the episode. It's just like Townsend's just like Professor, like it's just like it's just him doing like him being him. Like while the city's destroyed. There's so much conceptual humor in the
Yep.
show. And then I think yeah, we end with another explosion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think do you ever use just because you're a genius doesn't make you a smart guy?
Like use it in like some other
I
context.
don't know. I mean I guess I don't,
I
but like
haven't, but I mean it's a good.
it's a good
I
quote, yeah.
haven't, but it's a good line.
Very good line. Just because you're a genius doesn't make you a smart guy. And I think, yeah, that's the first time the narrator hates on the professor, which I believe happens more.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that the narrator has contempt for the professor, and nobody talks about it. He's contempt for the mayor, which
Yeah.
I completely understand. Remember, there's episodes in later seasons where like he's really laughing at Professor having to take the bus.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's a later season thing. Like, yeah, he's a problem with the professor. But that's all I have to say about this one. This episode is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I definitely love this episode. It's again another great one out of season one. Can't go wrong
Yeah,
with
I
it.
mean, I love the Rowdy Rep Boys, but I think this is almost like taking the action of the episode to the next level.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they're two very different kinds of or takes on action because this again, the other one was very much focused on like the girls and their, it's a smaller scale action battle between it's 3-on-3, so it's like a tag team fight. It focuses on kind of the girls fighting themselves in a different form, whereas this one's much more like again larger scale, bigger monster versus robot. Like it's a different kind of action, but both are great.
Right.
Both are great. So, yeah, I mean overall, I love the episode. I'd watch it again and again. But yeah, that's about it. I don't really feel the need to go through and just repeat my thoughts again because I feel like I have a tendency
Which
to just
we do a
fall
lot of
into
repeating
that.
anyway, but
Yeah, I feel like I just have a tendency to fall into repeating myself when I kind of give my concluding thoughts. So I'm trying to avoid doing that. But yeah, so
I'll ask you this, right?
yeah.
I didn't plan, we should have planned this before, but like, this will be fun. Do you want to do like a top 5 of the season since it's the finale?
Yeah, why not? We can do that.
But, yeah, we're going to have to, we're thinking of this on the spot because this is not pre-planned. So I would definitely say this is on the list.
Are you gonna rank them, or are you just naming 5 episodes? Because I'll tell you what, I'm not gonna be able to rank.
I don't think we could rank it unless we did this in advance, but I would say I'll pick my 5. How about that? I'll just pick my 5.
Pick your 5.
In no particular order because we should have done that before. Oh Dynamo, Bubble Vicious, Rare Facts, Powerpuff Fluff, actually. Now the 5th one, I don't know what I'm going to pick for my 5th one. It's I think it's a toss up between Eyesore and Tough Love.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm gonna say Tough Love.
Okay.
Yep, those are my top 5.
All right. My top 5. Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Okay. Let me see.
Monkey See, Doggy Do, obviously,
No.
and Pace Makes Waste.
Well, Pace Makes Waste is like the best episode, so that.
Well,
one's
yeah, that goes
automatically
without
omitted.
saying. Yeah.
That goes without saying. So that's like the top number 1 spot. So like it shouldn't even count because it's like that's
Oh,
just
yeah.
assumed. No, my top 5 would probably be Boogie Frights because I love that episode. I really like that episode. Ice Sore for me, definitely.
Mhm.
Bubble Vicious for sure. Man, I'm running out of spots. Oh man, I might have to. You know what? I'm gonna. I like Boogie Frights. I'm taking it out. Never mind.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, well, I would,
because there's
yeah.
only 5 spots. There's only 5.
Yeah, 5. Yeah,
So-
keep it at 5. Keep it at 5.
I'm pulling Boogie Frights out, so I'll take that back. So Ice Sore for sure, Bubble Vicious for sure, The Bear Facts, Mime for a Change, and the Rowdy Rough Boys.
Okay. Okay, well, I like that your list is different then.
Yeah, I'd put Oh Dynamo at like 6 or 7, and Boogie Frights at 6 or 7 as well. But
Got it. Yeah, Rowdy Rough Boys was almost there, but I prefer Dynamo a little bit, just by a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I didn't do like Boogie Frights, I just like, I don't know, as we said before on that episode, I think that just because that one comes a little earlier, I don't think the humor is as
I still
set at was
consider
later.
that episode the
It's still
turning
great,
point,
yeah.
though.
I love the villains, but I think it would, as good as it is, I would probably like it even more if it like came a few episodes after it did. And
Yeah.
Ice Sore was almost on my list, but there were just
Ice
those
Sore
few I liked better.
100%, no question. Ice Sore's top 5.
That's a great episode, yeah. I think one of my favorites in the series might be the
since-
Bear Facts in general, so that might
Ever
I think.
since you and I... Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you could
Go
say
ahead.
it. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, ever since you and I had the conversation like a year and a half ago, and I wrote my script for Ice Sore and I did my video, my appreciation for Ice Sore like increased tenfold. Like it went from like, this is a good Blossom episode to like, oh my God, this episode's freaking awesome. I love this episode. Like my appreciation for it just skyrocketed.
Well, that one, yeah, it's a very well crafted episode from beginning to end.
Hell yeah.
And
Okay,
like, you know,
cool. Well,
and okay, well, actually, I have to say this,
Yeah.
right? Not to extend this more
Yeah,
than it
say
needs to. That was in no particular order. Do you have like a solid favorite?
not for this season. No.
No, I would probably say Bear Facts.
No. That's fair. That's completely fair. But
And I think
of
that's
the
what-
5 I named, I can't declare a clear winner.
Yeah, those are all very good. And this was like there's no real weak episode of season 1. This is a very strong season 1. Like, oh my gosh,
It is a good season. Well, let me see. Is there a weak episode?
I mean, I'll say
Um,
this, right? I mean, like we keep talking about like how much we like season 2 and like 3, but I'll say this: there's less like weaker episodes in season 1 than there are in the other seasons. Because I'll say even season 2 or 3 probably have one where it's just like I don't think many people remember some of those, and I think
Kathmandu.
most of these are like classics more or less.
Kathmandu.
Yeah, but like for season 1, like Kathmandu, that's like 1 or 2 of them. One like maybe like 1 to 3 of them, like that's a very small number.
Yeah, but like I'm looking at season 2's episode list, and there is one episode that I consider bad.
I know which episode that is, and we're
There's
gonna
a
have
couple
huge
episodes.
argument
There's a
about
couple
that, but
episodes I don't like necessarily, but I can
It's
acknowledge
not
that
bad
they
ones,
aren't
I'm just
bad
saying
episodes.
weaker
It's just
ones.
personal taste. But
I meant weaker, like less memorable ones. Because obviously,
Yeah,
like
I'm looking
I
at
we
season
like this show a
3.
lot, so there are very few of them that I think are actually bad.
I don't know, RJ. I'm looking at season 3, and so far I see one episode that's not really that memorable, but all the other ones are kind of are.
And it's Twiggy,
Can you guess? Which
Twiggy?
one in season 3 isn't memorable?
Doggy 2.
No, no,
Really? Not Twiggy or Doggy 2. Catastrophe.
no. Yes.
Yeah, okay. I agree.
I
with
think
that.
that is probably the most forgettable episode of Classic Powerpuff in general.
I think so. I would not
I
argue.
think
with
that is the most forgettable episode.
Let's have Bubbles meowing for a minute.
Yeah. Like I can probably sit down right now if we were to do it. We're not going to because we're recording this podcast and I'm not trying to like pad it or anything. But if we wanted to, I'm sure we could go through every single episode and I could name you a quote except for that episode, I'm literally just gonna say, yeah, like meow,
Not my cat.
meow, like that's it. Like, yeah, I don't know,
Not my cat.
but yeah, like I look at season 2 and 3, and I'm excited for getting into season 2 now, because I feel like, especially with me making my video, like I feel like I've been trapped in season 1. That's not a bad thing. But I feel
Especially
like
for
I've
this
just been
show.
stuck on season 1 for so long that it's like, man, I'm so excited to move into season 2.
Right. Yeah.
So, but before we end this episode off, we do have our Q&A section. So,
Q&A.
as a reminder, in case you're listening in this far, first of all, thank you. And secondly, you can leave a comment on our Spotify podcast episodes or in the YouTube comments of the videos that we release for this show, and ask us some questions that you'd like to hear us talk about on this section of the podcast. So that being said, we have one question left by the same person that left a question for last episode's podcast. This is by JP Toaster. And this is a question for both of us. So this was on episode 10. They commented, they said, great podcast as always. Thank you. And then they said I was right about Meet the Beatles. I don't remember exactly what the context was.
I somewhat remember it, but I
appreciate
remember
them for
that I'm
agreeing
still
with
right
me.
about it. Thank you. Thank you for not
JP
agreeing
the
with me.
Toaster confirmed that I am correct, so that's the end of discussion. It's 2-1.
Okay, fine. Since JP
but that
Toaster
being
said
said,
yeah. Yeah, I can't.
Anyway,
I can't argue
their
with
question
that. Okay,
is,
fine.
Their question is, anyway, what's your favorite video game? Sorry if this question is a bit generic. It's not generic. There's nothing wrong with asking that question. What's your favorite video game, RJ?
You go first.
I went first on the last one.
Yeah, but like I actually have to think about that because I haven't played a video game in a long time.
Oh, okay. Well, my answer is I don't have one because there's too many for me to pick a clear definitive winner.
Okay, no, that's not an answer. Just try.
No, I can't pick one. I do not have one favorite video game. Like, I flat out don't. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to list off a bunch of games I like, but not one single one of them is my favorite. I don't have video games. My taste and my interest in video games is way too diverse and expansive for me to just pick one game and say, this is my favorite game, because there's all these other games over here that allow all these other different experiences.
Oh,
that I love
excuse
just
me,
as much.
artist.
Yes. Yes, indeed. I'm quite the pretentious snob when it comes to video games.
A video game connoisseur like myself.
Yeah. I'm a connoisseur, see? Yeah. Anyway.
Edward G. Robinson.
But yeah, so to answer the question, I'll just list off a bunch of games that I really enjoy. Sonic Generations and Sonic Adventure. Oh, sorry, my cat is yawning. Sonic Adventure, Sonic Generations, those are like my favorite Sonic games. Shadow Generations as well. Then I like Pokemon Gens 1 through 5. I love Saints Row 3 and 2. I like 3 more, but I acknowledge 2 is the better game. I love The Crew 2. I still need to play Motorfest. I love the Insomniac Spider-Man games quite a lot. They are fun. I really enjoy Kirby. Nightmare in Dreamland is my favorite Kirby game, even though I know it's a simpler Kirby game. I really like it. I love Mario, like Mario Odyssey, Mario Galaxy. I love man, there's too many games to keep track of it. Let me pull up my thing here. I really enjoy, let me see here. Oh, I love Assassin's Creed 3. Assassin's Creed 3 is a fun game. I really love Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. That's great. Oh, another Sonic game
I was about
really
to joke.
like is Sonic
I was about to
R.
joke that you liked that one.
I do. Battle for Bikini Bottom and
You guys
the original
do, yeah.
and Rehydrated are both fantastic. I love them both. So good. I love Lego Star Wars. I love Borderlands 2 and 3 for different reasons. Cyberpunk 2077 is great. I love Portal 1 and 2. Yeah, I could sit here and continue to list off games, but you get the idea. I like a lot of games. I can't just pick one. I'm sorry.
Well, you had mentioned Kirby. I used to play a lot of. I mean, I still like Kirby. I just haven't played it in a while. I used to. You know what? I'll just say this. This was. I really doubt this is the best one. I don't think this is the best one actually. But for whatever reason, I had a weird addiction to Kirby 64 for a matter of time.
Kirby 64
I'm not sure
game.
why.
Fun
Yeah,
game.
Crystal, it's fun, but like I'm not sure if that's. I don't think it's necessarily because it's the highest quality in the series, and not that it's not the highest quality in the series.
Mhm.
That's the one that, like, I guess Sakurai, one of the early ones that Sakurai didn't really touch at all, because I think he was working on Smash. But Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe because of its uniqueness, and I found it relaxing. But I really liked Kirby 64. So for a while, I would say it's Kirby 64.
That's fair.
Not because it's quality, just because I had some attraction to it.
Hmm.
And by the way, that's related to Powerpuff because my argument was always like Kirby is Powerpuff Girls, but like in video games. It's like the same concept.
It's the same concept, yeah.
It's cute and tough. And I think that there's an eye monster in some game. I don't remember which one. Maybe it's like Nightmare, right?
You're thinking of
Is it
Kracko.
Nightmare? Kracko? Oh, okay.
Or no, you're
So
thinking
it's
of
like,
Dark
that's
Matter.
literally
So there's
Dark
multiple,
Matter.
There's multiple ones, but you were thinking of Dark Matter, but Kracko is
Dark Matter.
Kracko is
Dark Matter, because I was like that.
Kracko and Wispy Woods are like the iconic Kirby bosses that are in like every single game, or
Oh, yeah,
a
sure,
variant
sure.
of it. But you were thinking of Dark Matter.
Yeah, I just forgot. Like I'm not such a noob that I don't know Wispy Woods, but
Hmm.
I didn't remember that character's name, but because it's been a while. But Dark Matter, that's the eyeball monster in the main event.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Yep.
Like, come on, man, they're the same thing. Kirby and Powerpuff Girls are the same.
Hmm.
So and that's why the Powerpuff Girls are coming to Smash. I'm not asking, I'm telling.
Yeah. Okay. In your dreams.
I only said that to piss people off because I know that will piss people off. But anyways, yes, I guess that's our answer.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, that being said, I think
Thank
we'll
you,
go ahead and
JP.
wrap things up. So yes, thank you, JP Toaster. We appreciate your comment. And yeah, I think that's going to do it. So yeah, once again, feel free to leave your comments on the Spotify episode as well as our YouTube video. Yeah, we look forward to hearing from you guys. I really got to remember to do that at the start of the show. That way, more people hear it. But yeah. Okay, that being said, we'll go ahead and end things off here. So next episode, we're going to jump into the first pair of season 2. How exciting.
It'd be
We're on
weird if we
season
didn't.
2. It would be quite weird if we didn't. You're right. And those 2 episodes are going to be our one of which is the first appearance of Princess. Interestingly enough, a lot of people might not remember this, but Princess actually doesn't even show up until season 2. But that is Stuck Up, Up, and Away and Schoolhouse Rocked. So look forward to that. We got a Princess episode and a Gangrene Gang episode coming up. So until then,
Entertainment.
as always, I'm Shadow Streak. You can check me out on YouTube and whatever. I have Blue Sky now. And then, of course, you can check out RJ on Plug Yourself.
Nothing.
Oh, okay. Don't check out RJ
wow.
at all, I guess. So yeah, just check out my stuff, I guess. Don't check him out.
Yeah, don't check me out.
So, all right.
Come on, that's creepy. Don't check me out.
Yeah, don't do that. He's right. But yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah, bye. Go watch something else.
So once again, the day is saved, destroyed, thanks to the Powerpuff Girls. Well, actually the professor. Just because you're a genius doesn't make you smart.